Hello and welcome to the Eurogamer Show. Forgive us if it seems like we're talking quickly this week, only there's a heatwave on in London. These lights are very, very hot and I'm kind of concerned we're going to overheat and die.
I think I can actually feel my eyeballs melting. Coming up this week, Star Wars Battlefront, H1Z1.
And the heat death of the universe.
You know, the heat death of the universe has nothing to do with being warm. It's actually about heat ceasing to flow through the universe altogether.
Really?
Yeah, everyone knows that. Isn't that right, Chris?
I don't know, to be honest, Johnny. I'm not sure, mate. Sorry. This week I'd like to talk about Scrolls, which is the card game belonging to Mojang, and perhaps unsurprisingly, this week it was announced that development is being stopped and the servers will probably be turned off this time next year. Which, yeah, that is perhaps unsurprising given the success of Hearthstone, but it sucks a little bit too, because I've been playing this game back in its beta stages and having a really good time with it. So, whilst we still can, let's take another look at Scrolls, yeah? For some of you, I guess, the last time you heard the name Scrolls was when Bethesda were having a go at Mojang about it, threatening legal action because the name was too close to that of The Elder Scrolls, which, I mean, yeah, alright then. But it's been here for quite some time now, launching in an open beta back in June 2013 and then having a full release towards the end of last year. And it's, well, yeah, as we've seen confirmed this week, it hasn't really got the player count. It's been entirely overshadowed by Hearthstone, although I am wary of saying that's the only reason it struggled. Seriously, check this quote describing an early encounter between Microsoft and Mojang following the buyout. According to people present at the meeting, Matt Booty, who is the general manager at Microsoft Game Studios, by the way, misspoke several times when discussing Mojang's future. Instead of saying Mojang, he referred to the company simply as Minecraft, quickly correcting himself. For the others in the room, it was awkward, to say the least. Less than half of them worked directly with Minecraft. Every time the man from Microsoft confused the name of the company he'd acquired with the game it was known for, he inadvertently pointed to the elephant in the room. Yes, Microsoft had acquired all of Mojang, but it was only really interested in Minecraft. Oof, that doesn't sound like a fun time for the Scrolls team. And once again, this is all a bit of a shame because there's something different here. Scrolls is an interesting combination of an energy-based card game like your Hearthstones, although here you acquire that energy by sacrificing the cards you don't want to use. But on top of that, you've got this grid to place them on, and when placed, they're not just cards on a board, but these wonderfully drawn soldiers and creatures and whatever you call the things that come in a decay deck. They look great, but the grid setup also brings into play a different sort of victory condition, a different sort of game. To win a match of Scrolls, you need to destroy 3 out of 5 of these idols belonging to the other player, whilst defending your own, and that creates almost a Plants vs Zombies dynamic, and makes positioning vitally important. The deck I'm playing with right here is made up of largely order type cards, which means that individually a lot of these soldiers are very weak, but together, in the right formation, they provide benefits to the whole group, and yeah, making sure they're in the right place next to the right units becomes absolutely vital to playing with this setup. It's interesting, and it makes for maybe a slower game than that of Hearthstone, but it's a playstyle that really appeals to me. So yes, it is a card game, it does have deck building, it's part of this fantasy theme, but it's not the same as what Blizzard have been up to over there. And yet, by this time next year, the servers are likely to be turned off for good. A reminder that we don't really own online games in the same way. And let's be clear about that as well. Scrolls was never free to play. People have paid money up front for this game and probably expected it to stick around for a while longer than this, I imagine. And you can potentially pay for it right now as well, with the funds promised to go towards the continued running costs of the game servers, keeping them online for, quote, as long as possible. Disappointing, isn't it? A genuinely interesting card game that'll just fade away. The work of a talented group of devs and artists, the player base that formed around it, the money they spent to play it doesn't really mean anything in the long run. Remembered by most as, oh yeah, that card game from the people that did Minecraft. Well, yep, okay, now I'm feeling a bit sad, so, back to you, Johnny and Aoife?
Next up, Star Wars Battlefront. Johnny, you played it, right?
Yeah, I played it with Tom Phillips at E3. It was amazing. We were in this air-conditioned room and it was just...
Oh my god, stop it.
Hey, let's go!
Tom Phillips, this is 2 weeks in a row we've brought you in as an expert on something. You must know a lot of things.
I think you're running out of guests to ask. That's the only explanation.
Yeah, fair play actually. All right then. Well, we both we both played Star Wars Battlefront. We played it together in a lovely air-conditioned room in E3. So I guess to clarify, you and I played the co-op wave-based thing together.
Yeah, we were the two of us running around Tatooine. Were we stormtroopers?
No, we were rebel troops fighting the stormtroopers.
Fantastic! I'm remembering this perfectly.
But I mean, well, the thing that most sticks with me is like that jetpack. It's got, I think, the best jetpack I've ever played with in a game ever.
Yeah.
It's just like, I mean, it's just basically like a turbo jump, basically. You point yourself at a thing, hit go, and it flings you across the map. But it's awesome, it's really satisfying.
I quite like the sound effects because they were very Star Wars, and it feels like you're actually shooting the Star Wars guns. It felt and it looked like Tatooine, and we worked together fairly well, I think. There was some good verticality to the map. I think we made it quite far. We actually failed it, didn't we?
We died on the last round,
Yeah,
which was
that's
slightly
all
disappointing. But it was a close run thing. And given that you and I have never played a shooter together, I felt like the teamwork came together quite quickly. And I think, as you said, like the best thing about it is that it just makes all the right noises, and all of the game assets are really lovely and really authentic. And they've done like an amazing job there.
It literally makes all of the right noises.
But okay, so like then afterwards, I had to run to my next appointment, so I didn't get to play the full multiplayer. But from what you said, it wasn't quite as like joyous as an experience.
Yeah. I mean, when it was more people, it felt a bit chaotic. It felt very Battlefield. I hate to say, and I think that was just a consequence of it being sort of big, wide open. Team-based sort of shooting, and less of the more intimate kind of messing about and respawning on teammates, and it felt like we weren't really getting anywhere. I think there were some members of the dev team on the other side which didn't help. So
Right.
we were getting to a point, dying, respawning, getting to that point, dying, respawning. Yeah, it might have been that we were just rubbish, in which case I'll hold up my hands and say it was probably just us being rubbish.
From what I've gleaned, and from the alpha footage which is leaked, which for legal reasons we probably won't be showing at this moment in time, it seems like they're really going for like a big sense of scale, right? And some massive set pieces, which I guess is a bit more Battlefield than Battlefront, but at the same time, I guess it's in keeping with just technological advancements allowing for like teams of over a dozen.
It is, but you know what? I played a lot of the old Battlefront back on PS2, and it had massive maps, and there was just so much scope. You could get on a vehicle, you could tool around. The AT-ATs weren't on rails. It feels like this is more of a sort of set piece thing, and there's less scope, even despite the technological advancements. Like, you played it too, and you saw it looks lovely.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of the freedom that you have to sort of run around, mess about in the maps, it felt like it was actually pretty prescribed. It almost felt like we were on rails. Like, obviously we weren't, but you were going down a very set path. But it looks very nice. I will say that, and the co-op stuff that we did, that was pretty fun. But if you don't like Battlefield, then some of the wider open stuff might disappoint.
Okay. Well, I mean, it sounds like maybe I should rein in my sheer sense of hype, but I don't know, I think there's still cause to be excited, so I'm still intrigued.
Yes, and it definitely sounds like Star Wars.
Yeah. Well, that's good enough. All right then. Thank you very much, Tom. I'll let you go now.
Goodbye.
May the Force be with you.
Alright, nearly it from us. Just time to talk about Ian willfully slaughtering 149 people just so he can emerge as the sole survivor.
Oh, you're talking about H1Z1's Battle Royale mode, right?
Sure. Why not?
Hello there. So today I want to talk about a game I currently love to bits. Daybreak's zombie survival MMO H1Z1 has always played second fiddle to DayZ for me, but that was before I discovered its Battle Royale game mode. If you've seen the film Battle Royale, or indeed read the book or manga, you'll be familiar with the premise. It's all against all, kill or be killed, last man standing matches with one chance to win. In regular Battle Royale mode, 150 players are dropped randomly into H1Z1's huge game world. world. To keep the action flowing, as time passes, a deadly cloud of green gas is released onto the map, slowly choking the play area and pushing players closer together into deadly conflicts. You get around 30 seconds or so of parachute time to survey your surroundings and choose a suitable landing spot. Do you head to a populated area where guns are plentiful but player count is higher, or do you land in the wilderness hoping to find some scraps inside a lonely cabin? These first few minutes of Battle Royale are the deadliest, a desperate scrabble for guns and ammo. Those who land last are in for the hardest time as more accomplished players casually dispatch the unarmed and unprepared. During this period you'll see the number of players dropping fast, a harsh reminder that a face full of buckshot is probably just around the corner. From then on, the game is pretty much terrifying. My first few attempts were spent cowering in buildings, aiming at doorways, panic shooting at anything that moved beyond them. Nowadays, I'm slightly braver and a bit better with my aim, so I'll risk life and limb by venturing out to find more ammo and possibly even a vehicle. I've not got the nerve or skill to stalk from building to building, ruthlessly and gleefully murdering anyone who crosses my path yet, but there are many players who do this, and meeting those guys never ends well. For me, at least. The thing I love the most about Battle Royale is the surge of adrenaline I get from playing it. The echo of a gunshot close to my location is enough to get the heart pumping, but the sound of another player's footsteps is something that can really curdle my blood. The anticipation of a life or death confrontation being just on the other side of a wall is unnerving to say the least. Putting down another player though is immensely satisfying, especially one who is armed to the teeth, but that comes with its own problems as you never know whether the sound of gunfire will bring hunters running. I'm yet to win a match of Battle Royale. The best position I've ever finished in is 11th place, but maybe one day I'll emerge victorious. I imagine the rush of that endgame will be incredible, but the chances of me ever seeing it with my aim are pretty slim. If you like the sound of Battle Royale, you can grab H1Z1 from Steam right now for £14.99. I think it's more than worth the price for the amount of entertainment I've had from it, but if you're patient, the game will be free to play once it's released proper, and at some point it's even due to appear on the PS4 as well, although I have a feeling that date is quite some ways off.
Alright, that is it from us this week. There is an ice cream van out there somewhere, and I am going to find it.
Anyway, before we go, we just want to say thanks to all of you who have subscribed to our channel so far, because it really means a lot.
You're awesome.
Bye!
Bye.
I still can't quite believe it happened. I'll be honest, this year's Sony E3 conference is probably about as close as I'll get to having a religious experience.